you have got the ancient Greek. In the next column, you have got the Demotic, and in the last column, you have got the equivalent hieroglyphics. And Champollion, who was not apparently known for his great humour, actually signed his name down here in hieroglyphics, which is a nice touch. The reason Champollion succeeded where Thomas Young and others failed is that he was able to speak an extraordinary number of languages. I think he could speak fluently 18 languages, amongst which was Demotic, which he could read and speak, and Coptic, which is another cursive form of hieroglyphics. Coptic, you probably know, is the Copts are the Christian sect who live in Egypt, and they use the Coptic language in their services, rather like Latin is used by Catholics in their service. There's a very bad example of Coptic over there. So that was how the Rosetta Stone aided the decipherment of hieroglyphics. I said at the beginning that the age of enlightenment was the age of reason, was the age of learning, and the age of discovery. And just to end this little talk, we'll go to right to the other end, and I'll just mention one or two things about discovery. Very quickly, because I've taken up far too much of your time, there were a great many explorers, of course, discoverers in the 18th century and before, but our man, like Vasco da Gama and Magellan and so on, but our man was Captain James Cook, and this is a Wedgwood bust of him here. And he made 3 great voyages of discovery in the 1760s, 1770s, and the purpose of these voyages basically was money. The Spaniards had discovered South America, they had brought back huge quantities of gold and silver, and it was hoped that Captain Cook would find another continent and would be able to do the same. And it was believed that there would be a continent to the south of Australia, somewhere between Australia and Antarctica, and he was sent out to go and find it. And he circumnavigated New Zealand, and he famously landed in Botany Bay. He was the first European to land in Botany Bay, and there he was opposed, or he and Sir Joseph Banks, who were with him, they were opposed by the Aborigines in Botany Bay, and they fired a gun over these Aborigines, one of whom dropped a bark shield. Now I'd love to be able to turn you to see the bark shield, but you can't. So I've got a photograph of it here, and that bark shield was dropped by this Aborigine. It is sort of 3 foot, 2 foot 6 high, and it was picked up and it was brought back and it was given to King George III, who was one of the sponsors of the trip. And it apparently is so popular that it's hardly ever here. It's being renovated and it should be back soon. It's got a spear hole in the front where it defended whoever was holding it, and at the back it's got a sort of handhold thing so you can hold it up. On Captain Cook's 3rd voyage, the purpose of the 3rd voyage was to find the Northwest Passage. The Northwest Passage had been sought for a long time, and it would have been a passage for ships to sail from the Atlantic through to the Pacific, through effectively northern Canada, Hudson's Bay and so on, without having to go all the way around America and up the other side. A number of people had probed into the various inlets on the Atlantic side without success, and Captain Cook was asked to go and see if he could find it from the Pacific side. So he sailed to America, down the east coast of America, South America, around the Horn and all the way up the other side. And whilst he was looking for the Northwest Passage, which of course didn't exist in those days, it exists now because the ice has melted, he came across the Eskimo people, the Inuit people, and the objects that you see over there are from that area. They were brought back by him and his sailors. Many of them ended up with in the collection of King George III. You will see that they are bowls, some of them made out of nephrite, like that one there. Most of them made out of wood. They would have been eating out of the storage. The one at the bottom, probably the storage, is particularly big in the form of a seal, as indeed are most of them. And one on the right, I can't quite show it to you, but over there you will see is prettily decorated with shell for the eyes and so on. So they came from Captain Cook's third voyage. You'll probably remember that he was murdered on his third voyage when he went to Hawaii, so he never returned. One other item I'll show you, and that is this crystal here, which is known as a hyena, and that comes from Vancouver Islands, which Captain Cook visited on his third voyage, but that particular crystal was not brought back by Captain Cook. He died anyway. But the man who brought back Captain Cook's boat, Captain Dixon, went subsequently on a voyage of discovery, and it was he who, from Vancouver Island, brought that crystal back. The people of Vancouver Island believed that these crystals, and there are very few of them, grew on the top of mountains. It's wrong to say they collected them, because as I say, there are very, very few of them. It's not as if you took a basket up and shoveled them in. But they were given to the tribal chief. They were cut in this sexagonal shape, and the tribal chief apparently never let them out of their hands, just passed them from father to son. They were meant to bring great good fortune. The only time that they appeared to have some sort of use was as an invitation card. If you were giving a great feast, a potluck, for a marriage or a birth or a war or something, and you wanted to invite somebody, you handed them the hyena, and by way of acceptance they handed it back. And that seems to be the only time that they were let out of his hands. I think I've just about come to the end. When you entered this room, you must have wondered how any sense at all could be made of such a huge, disparate collection of stuff. It was collected because people were interested in it, and slowly it came to be realized that it casts light onto the cultures, civilizations, the various ologies of the people, and that really is the age of enlightenment.